Hello, and thank you for joining us today for a special conversation about Juneteenth with some Medix teammates. Before we dig right into our questions for today, I wanted to kind of go around the room and make sure we hear who we're speaking with today, a little bit about their perspectives of their career at Medix and what they're currently up to. So let's kick it off with a pretty straightforward question. I hope you can answer it. What's your name? What do you do at Medix? And if you could just describe your career path so far.
Okay, well, I'll go first. My name is Tamala Adabutu. I am currently sitting in Houston, Texas, but I work for the compliance team, the corporate branch. I am with National Healthcare, and I've been with Medix since last September 2021. I came in, I was referred by Tyler Washington. Shout out to Tyler. And I started off my journey here as a program support admin, working with the Tampa office. From there, I kind of made my way over to compliance. I've only been here less than a year, and I've already kind of had a promotion, so that's been amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better support system here at Medix. So I've enjoyed my time thus far, for sure.
And hey
Awesome.
guys, I'm Kayla Rainey. Sorry, I just got married, so getting used to saying the new last name. But
Congrats.
thank you.
Congrats.
I've been here since January, and I'm a recruitment advisor out of the Southeast region. So I'm helping Katie Boards actually start a new market in Atlanta. So that's where I currently sit out of. And so yeah, I work for the life sciences department, so clinical research, all that good stuff here in Atlanta.
I love that. We got a lot of different roles on the conversation right now, ranging from corporate to recruiting. So giving us a nice perspective of everything we've got to offer at Medix and a variety of career paths. So I'm thankful that you're here today, taking some time out of those important, busy roles for sure, to talk a little bit about Juneteenth with us, because obviously it's an important day of recognition that is hopefully growing in the minds of people across the business perspectives, as well as getting a much bigger social media presence, deservedly so, over the last couple of years. So I know that there are a million explainers out there, and some people might still be a little confused as to how they should approach the day. So I'm excited to have your perspectives on, as members of our team, of how to approach Juneteenth. So I'm going to start with a pretty straightforward question that I'm hoping you can enlighten us on, of just what is Juneteenth?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and take that question if you don't mind. So pretty much Juneteenth is a holiday that is celebrated every year on June 19th to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people here in the United States. The holiday was actually first celebrated here in Texas, in Galveston, where on that date in 1865, the aftermath of the Civil War, the slaves were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. So now it's a federal holiday, and it's celebrated annually in various parts of the United States. And it is the oldest African-American holiday thus far. So I'm happy that we're able to shed light on it, finally. So
Yeah, and that change to being recognized as a federal holiday is fairly recent, right?
yes, I believe it happened last year, right, Kayla?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it was last year. I
Mm-hmm.
remember sitting at my desk, and the African American group I was part of at my last company, like emails just started coming through. Everybody was excited, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is a huge difference maker, personally, because I feel silly that I was not as educated as I should have been on it as a holiday until sort of the federal recognition came through, and it became something that was more widely talked about. Especially, it's strange, but in a professional setting, that has a big difference. And hearing your teammates talk about a holiday in the same way that other regular repeating holidays are talked about, it's like a President's Day or, a day like that where you're like, okay, we talk about these things. This is a hugely important event for our country. And, it just shines a much bigger spotlight on it to have these conversations, even in a professional context. So, I appreciate that change happening. I do think that this is another place of that, it's now recognized as a federal holiday, but I'm not sure if people quite know how they should be participating in Juneteenth. So can you share any perspectives you have on like how you would encourage others listening to participate in Juneteenth in order to make a positive impact?
Definitely. I can go first. So some things that people can do is definitely do some research, learn more about the African American culture and the people that impacted all of us, right? So people like Maya Angelou, Bessie Coleman, Angela Davis, like all these people did certain things in our history. And then even people now that it didn't just affect our culture or our race, it affected everyone. And so I definitely think that to be able to do research on those people and not the people we hear all the time, like Martin Luther King, things like that we heard here in school, maybe growing up, but really starting to dig a little deeper and just look up like, oh, I wonder who created this, or I wonder who invented this. Because I've even done that myself and was very surprised to find out that it was of an African American person. That was a person who invented it or created whatever that thing was. I also think volunteering and giving back to our community is a big thing as well, because I truly believe that when you start in your community, then that's how you're able to enlighten others. Maybe, I definitely thank you, Andrew, for stating that you didn't really know about the holiday or what it was. I think that's being honest and transparent and vulnerable, so that other people can then start to learn as well. And I feel like when we go into our community, then that's a great way that we can do that. Supporting Black-owned businesses. I know that's been a very big thing in the last couple of years. We are all supporting each other, but maybe that day or this weekend, make it more of a promise to yourself to be like, okay, well, what's a Black-owned business that I have not, been to or I have not supported? And then, do some research and, go in there and see what you can find. You may actually like something, find something that you like. And then also like festivals. I know like in Atlanta, with Atlanta being so culturally diverse, they are holding festivals in Atlanta to also like celebrate the culture. And that's where like vendors come out and they're going to have like people singing and dancing and different things like that of the African American culture. So that's another way where you can then immerse yourself in an environment that you probably don't see too often or don't see enough, so that you can also get to know people that are out there and then also kind of bridge the gap that way.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off of what Kayla said and what you said, Andrew, don't feel bad that you didn't know about Juneteenth. Even myself growing up in the Deep South, I grew up in Louisiana. It wasn't something that was taught in schools when I was in elementary and middle school. I had to, learn about it in college. And that's when I really became aware of the significance and the impact and what it means to the African American community. So now that we have the tools and, the information, I just say, take advantage of it.
That's great. Great perspective and great examples of things we can all be doing at this time, because you're right. It's one thing to be humble and accept the things that you don't have the knowledge of and to do the research. But once you have those tools available to you, you have to take that next step and really move it forward. And I'm really excited by this recognition that is happening slowly in our country for events like this, but it really does take that work and that extra step. And I think those were all great examples of ways to not only get educated, but then become involved in our communities, because that's really where the difference happens is, if you can act locally and, find groups that are in need or, find ways to celebrate the culture in your local area. So I'm really excited by those ideas.
To piggyback off what you were saying earlier too, is like it's very nice for it to now be a federal holiday, because kind of like what Tamala said, I didn't know about Juneteenth either when I was growing up. And then I was in an environment of not a lot of African Americans in my environment and in culture when I was growing up. And so I went to a HBCU when I went to college. So it was great to kind of immerse myself in our own culture and learn things that I unfortunately did not know growing up. So I think it's a little bit of everyone, like, just depending on where you grow up or what environment you're in. Some of those things you can't control, but as we start to get older, what you can control is now making it, a duty to be able to say, like, okay, well, what can I learn? Who can I connect with? Different things like that to showcase. And I think them making it a federal holiday is going to shed more light. Whereas before, unless you knew from growing up or research, like, that's when you celebrated. But now we can come together as not just our culture, but other races and other cultures as well, to say, like, okay, well, we celebrate, President's Day, we celebrate, the 4th of July, all these other stuff that was just as important in our in our American history. So now let's also celebrate something else that was very important in our history too.
A lot of African Americans even see it as their own Independence Day. Different cultures have their own Independence Days and Thanksgivings and, national holidays. A lot of African Americans see it as our Independence Day. So it is super significant. And now that we all know about it, like I said earlier, just really try to immerse yourself in that knowledge, and don't be afraid to ask, or, don't be afraid to seek it out and within your own community and go to like an exhibit or, an event or something like that, because you'll probably be welcomed in something like that. So.
Well, I appreciate too a little bit of the culture that we're building here at Medix. I've been here 7 years now, and I've certainly seen a change, especially since the pandemic, in the way that we're trying to build more of this learning culture, more of an open culture where we are, trying to embrace our teammates more for the unique perspectives that they bring, than trying to just kind of wash over everything with, okay, here's a corporate culture that everyone needs to fit into. And I think a big part of that have been our impact groups. And, I was wondering if we could touch on just a little bit about the African American Network at Medix, because I do believe that the African American Network, AAN, has made a difference in facilitating some of these conversations that people may have been uncomfortable to bring up, or have been a little nervous to say that, hey, this is where my knowledge ends and I don't know what to do to learn more. So can you share just a little bit about what AAN is at Medix, and what the group is all about?
Absolutely. So pretty much AAN stands for the African American Network, and our goal is to advocate for and empower Black teammates at Medix. So AAN intends to foster an environment and a culture in the organization, excuse me, at large, that amplifies and promotes the voices of our Black teammates. And we're made up of 4 pillars that we stand by, and they are to empower. One is advancement, one is to educate, and one is excellence. And, when we say empower, we just simply mean building unity amongst the African Americans within Medix and the communities we serve, to cultivate a safe, innovative, and culturally diverse working environment. Advancement means striving to continuously elevate the African American presence in an effort to develop Medix and the communities we serve, both professionally and personally, through mentorship, representation, exposure, and educate through things like the newsletter that we send out every month, driving awareness through philanthropic measures and things like that, and to just highlight the excellence of the African American members here, celebrating their promotions, their accomplishments, by highlighting that as well. So that is what AAN is, and that's what we do.
Fantastic. Well, I know that I've seen the impact that AAN has had on Medix and on the organization, and it really has been a great blueprint for our other impact groups as well, to be able to, facilitate these conversations and shine a spotlight on the things happening within our teams, because it's far too easy to try to just paint culture within an organization with the same brush. And we all know that that's not an accurate way to portray a team. So it's been, a great way, I think, to really raise the profile of our teammates and have important conversations. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast today and talking with us a little bit about Juneteenth, because, similarly, where, I know that it is not in your job titles to have to educate us on holidays like this, but I appreciate you being able to take the time and share this, because it is, really important for us to find ways to make an impact in our communities and to really recognize these kinds of holidays.
Yes, thank you for picking us. We definitely don't take this lightly, so we were definitely glad to be able to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for AAN. I love AAN and what we do. We recently just also had our allyship call. So that's something that I want to bring awareness to, that we will be doing again. So for anybody who wants to learn more about the African American Network here, or just to tap in and align with us, be allies with us, you guys have an opportunity to join those meetings as well. So, Medix is awesome for just creating that safe space for us. So I'm super grateful.
Definitely. Only been here for
great.
6 months, but I love the culture, have enjoyed every part of it so far. So I'm looking forward to what's to come.
That's great to hear. And, something too, for those listening who, might be interested in joining Medix and, are curious about our team culture and everything, always encourage you to check out our social media channels. I think Instagram is a great way to see our culture in action. And then check out our website. medixteam.com has a lot of information about what our plans are for DE&I at Medix, as well as our impact groups. And a lot of the effort that has gone into there. And, my final plug at any time for anyone interested in our organization or joining our team is just to reach out to people like us, because our teammates love talking about Medix as an organization and our culture and our teammates. I know that's, half the time you talk to anyone, they talk about the people at Medix and the impact they've had on their lives. So if you're interested, there are more than enough channels to learn more on. So that's my end of the plug for this episode. But once again, thank you both for joining me today and having a conversation. This has been really enlightening.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.